Welcome to day 4 of the Self Love Challenge, the Live Master Self Love Challenge. I'm so super excited today. We have an amazing guest, the relationship architect, Annie Kallis from Australia. I am really excited. So, we've had a great week in the Self Love Challenge. If this is your first video, you're just catching it, let me catch you up real quick. We've been talking about self love. The first day was on Valentine's Day on the 14th. We had an incredible speaker, Lenora Collins from Canada, come in and talk about self-image. And then on day 2, USA, and she talked about self-talk. And yesterday we had Lee Piper Smith from Reno, Nevada, and she talked about self-discipline. Now this today on day 4 is going to be a very interesting topic. So get your fingers ready to let your friends know that they need to start sharing the love because they deserve to hear this message from this world-class speaker from Australia named Annie Kallis. Again, I've met Annie, I think, about 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years on my live video journey over the last 4 years. She's been an incredible support to me. I love her videos. She goes live all the time. She's a world-class coach and speaker, and today she's going to bring you massive value on this topic of selfish. It's an interesting topic. I'll let her explain why she's excited to talk to you about it. And when you work with a professional like Annie, like I said before we started, Annie, it's awesome to be able to introduce you and just let you take over and get some feedback from what you think about this topic. Annie, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again on one of your many shows. And I love all these challenges that you do and everything else. And I really love the service and the contribution that you have been doing. Well, first of all, I think you've been doing this for a couple of years, and I have to give it to you. You know, the consistency is unbelievable, and you inspired me to last year, especially with all the situation in the world, what happened. I felt like, okay, let me just say hello to people and all of that. And I thought, I made a promise that I'm going to do a live every single day. And I only did 340. I didn't do the 356, right? So I just went, yeah. But you know what? What happened is that I needed to be selfish. I felt that there wasn't much that I could give on those days, and I decided not to. So it was quite a dilemma for me to should I, shouldn't I? And I said, I just don't have any. Because all I did last year was do lots of lives, lots of guest appearances, talk about relationships, because intimate relationships were hit really, really hard last year. And the after effect is even harder. So when you're in it, you're in it. But as you're moving into the after effect, got to hold the space again. So I was at it like 15, 16 hours a day continuously. So there were moments towards the end of the year, I just went, okay, I have no more. And I had to become selfish, you know, and take that time. But I tell you, it was quite a war. So help Annie from Vancouver, Canada. Oh, I think that would be hello. I would say hello. So hi everyone, welcome. Thank you for coming. And this is a really cool subject. Now I just want to let all of you know that I haven't prepared anything. Okay. So I was sitting there, should I do more research? I went, no, because what's great about Mike and I is that we go where it needs to go. So I will talk about a little bit about my perspective about selfishness. And I want to give you something that when I heard this thing turned my mind inside out and my world upside down, and I just loved it. So I want to share that with you. However, through the conversation and whatever you guys are going to be putting in your comments, let's have a conversation about a subject that it's almost like a taboo, just like sex. Sex is a taboo, but we all talk about it, right? And yes, thank you. But yeah, so I just wanna let you guys know that I have no exercises for you that are pre-prepared, but as we're going, stuff might come up, and I might give you some things that you can do to connect you to you. So I hope that's all okay with everybody. Yeah, thank you, Yogini. Yeah, we go with the typical Aussie. Yeah, we go with the flow. Yes, we do. So here I'm gonna need you, Mike, to help me. So let's just look at the word selfish or selfishness. Okay. So do you have your phone on you, or are you doing this on your phone? Yeah, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I got my phone here.
Oh, good. I didn't hear you before. All right. So this is what I normally do when I work with my clients, because this is how I learned it. So here's the thing. Behind every misunderstanding, there is a misunderstood word. So make the dictionary and the thesaurus your best friend. Have you ever experienced that when you're reading a book, sometimes you keep going over the same sentence over and over and over, and then you fall asleep? So, or you get really tired and then you just stop. Within that sentence, there's one word that the subconscious mind or unconscious mind is going, what does this mean? What does this mean? And then it's like, I'll give up, right? So it's really important to always look at the definition of the word. So what does selfish mean? So do you want to look that up in a dictionary? Let's find the meaning of selfish.
Okay.
So,
I got it.
Everybody else that's watching, get your phones out, unless you're watching this on a phone, and look up the word selfish. So I'm going to put it here.
I'm going to put it in the comments, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So the word is selfish. Okay. So if anybody else has some definition, write it in the comments box. So what have you got?
All right. It says adjective of a person, action, or motive lacking consideration for others, concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or pleasure. I joined them for selfish reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. So pretty much it, concerned excessively or exclusively with oneself, seeking or concentrating on one's own advantage. Okay, pleasure or well-being without regard for others. So we hear it since we were little. We've heard that don't be selfish, share. Don't be selfish, share. Don't be selfish, share. How many of you that are listening have experienced that? So say I in the comments box below. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Jacqueline. That's selfish towards others. So we grew up with this perception or this understanding that we have to constantly do and share and be and concentrate about everybody else other than ourselves. And the moment that we did, we got a barrage from everybody around us. You're being selfish. You are being selfish. So that we already know what's the meaning of that. So we start to feel bad, and then we start to feel small. Oh, okay, I'm selfish. Okay, I'm going to do something. I'm going to constantly do things for other people. And then you reach a point where you are completely exhausted and you're not getting it back, right? So, oh, Jacqueline, you are funny. Now that's funny. That's a high 10 for that one. I love that. I love this group already. The crazy people in it. I love it. Like attract like, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So what happens? Now you threw me off, Jacqueline. Where was I? I have menopause, so I can't remember many things. So the thing is that we get completely exhausted, And then we start to play small. So let me just get straight to the next bit to just remove this heaviness over this word selfish when it comes to looking at ourselves. So this whole thing is about love. It's about self-love. So how can we be selfish and loving ourselves without upsetting somebody else? So I'd like you to look up the word noble. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so what does noble mean?
All right, let me put it in the comments. I'll put the first definition. There's a couple. Let's see here. Let me go back over and put the comments here in the live stream real quick. Then I'll paste it and I'll read it like I did last time.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. It says, belonging to a hereditary class with a high social or political status aristocrat, the Duchess of Kent, and other noble ladies.
Excellent, thank you. This is what I have. Belonging by rank, title, or birth to the aristocracy, and having or showing fine personal qualities or high moral principles. Okay? So back in the day when they had the noblemen, the aristocracy, a good nobleman, one that was true to its title or his title, was somebody that had the castle and the land. And what he did, he took care of his people. So he divided the land, gave it to families so they have land to work, to create their food and all that, and he gave them lodgings and took care of their people, right? Now, of course, in those days you had the noblemen that thought they were too good and then they actually taxed everybody. But that's not the type of nobleman that we're talking about. So when you're a nobleman, or woman, you have a fine personal quality and you have high moral principles. So how do you bring these two together? When you become nobly selfish, you take care of you in a way that you know it's not going to affect anybody else. So when you do that, you start saying no to others and yes to yourself. And what that means is it's gonna piss a lot of people off, okay? And they're gonna say you're selfish. So here's a question that I'd like you guys to write down that I heard many, many years ago, and I tell you, blew my socks off. So write this down. What is it about me wanting to ... that bothers you so much? So what is it about me wanting to ... that bothers you so much? Okay? So what does that mean? So let me give you an example. So what is it about me wanting to get healthy that bothers you so much? What is it about me wanting to run my own business that bothers you so much? What is it about me going to seminars that bothers you so much? So fill in the ... when people keep having a go at you about being selfish. How does you going to a seminar affect them negatively? How does you wanting to be an entrepreneur that affects them negatively? What is it about you deciding not to eat cake, sugar, flour, and just go vegan or whatever it is that bothers them negatively or affects them negatively? And I tell you, every time I ask that question, people just go, so then instead of putting them down, right, I just go, so clearly there's something that you don't like about what I'm doing, or you're thinking about, or do you want to talk about it? And they go, well, how do you do it? Like, how do you stop the sugar? Like, I stopped eating salt because I lost 20 kilos, which is, I don't know, it's how much is that? Like 44 pounds. So yeah, so I was a much bigger person. So then I got an eating plan, and I decided, and I went cold turkey. So I removed salt, coffee, tea, all alcohol, all sugar, all wheat, absolutely everything. And all I just ate was protein and green. That's it. And I did that solid for 8 months. I have never been healthier or ever looked better in my life, right? So, thank you, Jacqueline. So the thing was, through that whole period, and the biggest challenge I had, I'm a social butterfly. So when somebody says coffee, I'm in the car, I'm out the door, because I love socializing and I love going to coffee shops. So my biggest thing in my head was like, but how am I going to socialize now if I want to get healthy? So then I just went out with a girlfriend and I chose what I ate. So I said to them, hold the sauces, hold the salt, give me this instead. And they did. And then we had such a good time, and I had peppermint tea. I love coffee, and I love mocha with almond milk and froth and just the whole shebang. I love it, right? So, but at that time I said, what was more important to me? I was committed to completion, to become whole and complete within my health, right? Because I wasn't healthy, I could barely move. And this was 7 years ago, right? So what happened is I was concentrating so much on her and having a great time that we ended up having lunch. So yet again, I had to make the choice what I'm going to eat. So I looked at the menu, I removed the things that I didn't want, and I said to them, could you make this for me? No problem. You know, restaurants and coffee shops are actually very accommodating if you ask nicely. Yeah, because some people are, don't want the tomato. It's like, okay, well, you could say, could you please remove the tomato? It's really different how you. Yes, thanks, Lenora. That's a big one. Committed to completion. So I realized that day that for me, it's the social element, and being with the people is not what I'm putting in my mouth. So after that, I just socialized. I went to parties. I asked for a glass, like a wine glass, and I would put water in it, ask for a slice of lemon, or I asked if they had mineral water or like the fizzy water, and I put that in. So that's what I did. And I managed. So I had no alcohol, nothing. I felt amazing. But this is what people were constantly having a go at me about. And even if we went out to the restaurants and I asked for a special meal, and they were like, why you do that? Why can't you just eat normal? And I said, but this is my normal. Congratulations, Lenora. That is fantastic. Well done. So I drink wine and I drink coffee, but I do know when I have to stop, right? So that question is really good when you're doing something for yourself and then people start at you about it. So instead of getting upset because you are triggering something in them, then just ask that question. And then just hold the space and be sweet and be kind to them, because what's happening is happening inside of them, right? So just find out and help them out, right? And then all of a sudden changes the conversation.
You know, it's funny.
So what do you say about that, Mike?
No, that was incredible. That was incredible. That analogy about going out and eating and socializing too, because when you are consistent and you show up in those situations, say you go out multiple times with the same group of people and they see that you are committed to completion, like you mentioned, then guess what starts to happen? In the beginning, they might give you the guff, but over time, since they seeing you're committed, some of them with the open mind will end up saying, well, why did you decide to get healthier? Why did you decide to stop doing all these other things? Because they're curious, because you're doing something out of the norm that most of the circle aren't doing, right? Or yeah, it's interesting. It can become inspiring to people.
Well, it's interesting. I inspired people online, but the friendship groups that I had, not have, had, nobody really did anything about it, but they week after week, like we would catch up every single week on a Thursday night, and they kept whining about certain things and full on eating week after week and lots of alcohol, and that's fine because that's their choice. However, I found that my values and how I want to live my life was not in line with theirs. And one of the mistakes that I did, which was one of the biggest lessons for me, is that I was trying to push my shit onto them. And I tried to sort of say, but, you're telling me that you're not feeling well and you're throwing up and all of that. You should do this and you should do that and you should do that. And then what happened? They were pulling away from me. So then all of a sudden I was left without this group, and there were like 20 people in it. So I just realized that I was just moving in a different direction from where they were happy in. I wasn't anymore. And I found that eventually I had nothing to talk about with them, because I always talked about going ahead and moving ahead and what I've learned and a different way of thinking. But that was really triggering them. And the interesting thing was, about a year later, I decided to go and have another catch up. I knew that they were still catching up every single Thursday night. So this happened prior to 2020, or pre-2020, right? And then I was just sitting there and I didn't say anything. I enjoyed my coffee because you don't need to give all that up forever, but I just know how much I can have and when. So I had my coffee and I had a drambuie on us, and I very much enjoyed it. And then one of them said to me, "Oh, Annie, you're really quiet." I said, "Yeah. How come you're not saying anything?" I said, "Well, I don't really have anything to say. I'm just listening." I said, you guys talking about the same thing you talked about a year ago, so I don't really have anything else to add. Now, if you guys want to know, you can ask me my opinion. So then, so one of them said, "So what's your opinion?" I said, "I don't know if you really want to hear it because it's not in line with yours." No, we want to hear it. I said, "Are you sure?" They go, "Yeah." "Okay, here we go." So I told them what my opinion was. So then I could see a couple squirming in their chair, and they were like, "Well, we don't really like that." I said, "I asked permission and you gave it to me." I said, "So please don't be upset about it. You don't need to do it." So it was very, very funny. And then they told me that they didn't like me preaching to them. But by then I actually realized that I was preaching. So it was a mistake, but a very welcome mistake, because it made me better. So now I don't push things onto people. I mean, I know a lot of stuff, and I learned a lot of things. They know what I do. They know who I am. They know what I'm like. So if they want to know, I'm sure they're going to ask me. But it's not up to me to push it onto them. So very, very big lesson for me, And for anybody else who's listening, if you're doing that, maybe this can be a lesson. But it's something I have to practice, because as human beings, we want to help and contribute, right? And I always jump in. It's like, I have to be so conscious and aware. And just like, the first day, sorry, I forgot the name of the lady.
Lenora.
Yeah, Lenora. Sorry, I was going to say Lenora, but I just wanted to double check, right? So Okay, I'm going to answer that in a minute. So, you know, I do a lot of affirmations, and I look at myself in a mirror every single morning. So I actually have a mirror in front of my bed on the wall. So I get up and I see myself and I go, hey girl. And I go, gee, you look a mess, go brush your hair. So, you know, and I have a joke with myself. And then I go and I stand and I look in a mirror naked and I look at my body, because my body is like, I'm 55. So it doesn't look like when I was 20. So I constantly look at it and affirm about it and try to love it 100%. But I'm going to tell you, I don't love it 100%, but then I keep talking to myself. So the affirmations are so important, right? So how do you pronounce the name? Shaban?
Chiffon.
Chiffon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chiffon, for the question. I was having a hard time with empathy in my girls' night. Did you find that? I don't find hard to be empathetic. I remove myself from being judgmental. Now, judgment is judgment, right? So it's something that we have as human beings. And if you think that you can remove judgment from your life, think again. The best of the best, and even the Dalai Lama, he's judgmental too. It's a natural thing that we have, yeah. So when the judgment comes, if I stop myself and I just go, okay, they're talking about it because they have the courage to share and they feel safe to share in the group environment, right? So if they talk about it over and over and over, I reach the point where I say, so what are you going to do about it? And that kind of goes, what? So what are you going to do about it? Well, I don't know. Well, and then I start to ask questions. I say, well, you're really upset about this. You've been talking about it for weeks, you know, and do you want to fix it, or are you just happy to talk about it? And I go, I'd like to fix it. But I'm very present. I do a lot of presence in the mirror with myself, and I'm very, very present. So I watch the facial expressions and the body language. And if I sense that they don't like my questioning, I just go, okay, look, I just asked, and then I just relax and go back to it. Not the whole conversation is whining, you know, and so I just kick back and let it go. But I'm very, very present to the person. So then based on their answer, I think about what I'm going to ask next, because ultimately I still want to help. And I know that there's a solution, but I don't want to give them the solution. I want to be able to ask a question without being too coachy and being and at the same time trying to be a girlfriend, right? So sometimes I just go, you know what? You're full of shit. Why don't you just do something about it? Well, I don't know what to do about it. Well, what do you think you could do about it? Can I tell you what I would do about it? Yeah. So I'm gauging the mood, the feeling, and all of that. But I have empathy for them because they're hurting. And I really feel for them. And I do understand what they're going through, because at one point in my life, I went through. Because empathy is actually holding the space for people and just going, mm-hmm, I hear you, mm-hmm. 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 That's it. That's how you act out empathy towards people. You just hold the space for them. You're not there to give them a solution. But if they really struggle, then depending who it is, I step into it. Now, with my friends who are coaches and or people who are in this self-improvement realm, right? That's when we just go, oh, come on. You know, it's you full of crap. You know, come on, Harry, that's bullshit. You know, you've been talking about it for 2 weeks. When are you going to do something about it? Let's go. But they know that comes from love. They know that we love each other. They know I love them or somebody else. They do it to me all the time. I get hammered left, right, and center.
We've had a couple of those conversations, actually. You and I have had a couple of those conversations. It's
But
funny. It's
yeah,
true. It's true. Yeah. It's amazing
yes.
having friends like you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
This See, I knew this would be an amazing video coming on here and doing this with you. You just flow so well, and
Thank
everybody's just putting so many amazing comments in here. I like that you touched on empathy real quick, because if you're empathetic, it's hard. It is really hard sometimes to remove yourself and to be able to go love yourself, right? Remove yourself from the empathetic situation, because it's interesting. Yeah, you're there to be empathetic, be like you said, but we don't have all the solutions. And when you ask people questions, the right questions, you can help them figure out their own solutions, right?
Well, yes, because you know what? The hero is inside of every single one of us,
Mm-hmm.
right? The answers are inside of us. So what we want, yes, Lenora, holding space is also important. Yes. So what we need is for someone to hold a space and to ask the right question. So like I'm a facilitator, so I'm a coach, but when I work with my clients, I facilitate their growth. It's transformational facilitation, right? So it's not just information, it's facilitation. But like here, I can't, like, my first thing is I want to ask a million questions and I want to facilitate, but we have a delay, so it would take double the time. Yeah. So that's right, Lenora. People sometimes just want to be heard. And to have the courage to open up about something that is hurtful, that's true vulnerability. And that goes for men too. So this group that I was in, there were just as many men as women. And the guys were really going off and they were talking about everything. Sure, no problem. I'm happy to catch up. There you go. Socializing. Yes, I'm in. So I think being vulnerable, it's actually powerful, because it means that you're okay to share and not worry about what people are going to say, because it's more important for you to figure out, because you wanted to address the challenge that you're having, and you're seeking answers. Yeah. So, but it just depends what type of answers, because see, what people don't realize is sometimes if you go into an environment like that and say, this happened to me and I'm really struggling, and the other person goes, yeah, that happened to me too. Oh yeah, happened to me too. You know what happened? They kidnap the conversation, and it's not about you anymore, and you're actually seeking, and then people withdraw and they go, I'm never going to say anything again. Yes, you can, just find another group. And I heard this from Les Brown. If you are the smartest person in your group, find another group. And that is not about you being up yourself. But if you find that the conversation is not lifting you up, it means that you've outgrown those conversations and time to move on. That doesn't mean you hate on them. You just move on. And if somebody asks you, just say, well, I want to have conversations that lift me up, not put me down. So sometimes you got to be honest. And then that's that.
Yeah.
And even with friendships, for example, this is where you have to become selfish with you, because you got to love on you first, right? Sometimes you need to remove yourself from people. You don't want to hurt them, but the thing is, it's not your intent. If they get hurt, that's on them, because we are responsible for our emotions, nobody else. The emotion happens within us. So maybe my action has hurt you, but it's your responsibility to come and talk to me about it. It's not up to me to chase you up about how you're feeling, right? Because I don't know that you're feeling that. I don't have a crystal ball. So people need to take responsibility, right? Can I actually talk about that? I don't know how long we have.
I told you that once you start going on here, I ain't going to stop you, because you're amazing. I could sit and listen to you talk all day, and it looks like people are enjoying the conversation. So, we'll definitely wrap up here soon with some homework at the end, but just keep talking, Annie. I mean, I
Okay,
really.
so this is I'm a flip charting queen, and flip charting is really great because for those people that are visual and because of the colors, you know, using both sides of the brain, people just go, oh yeah, and then they write it down. Do you know how many times I've gone back to this when I was learning, and I go, what's that flip chart? And I would go back to my notes and I go, noble is selfish, and I studied it and I looked at it to connect to it to myself. And I still remember the first time I practiced it. So I was supposed to go somewhere and I didn't want to go, and I just rang him and said, I'm not coming. Didn't say sorry or anything like that. I said, I'm just not coming. And they said, okay. And then I sat there going, okay, there's nothing coming back. So they were okay with it. So I just went, oh my God, this is so easy. So I took charge of me and what I want to do. But then I went back and I said, can we do it another time? I just not today. They said, yeah, sure. So then we caught up a week later. So ultimately you design your life, not somebody else design it for you. So the next flip chart that I want to show you is one of the most powerful flip charts that I've learned. And it's simple, but I practice it every single day. So you know how many of you have kids, you know? So, you know, if you have kids, right? When they do something, you know they did it. And then the first thing they do is they deny. No, it wasn't. I didn't do it. No, it wasn't me. You actually saw them do it. But they, no, it wasn't me. So that is lying, right? People lie. So they deny. And it comes from somewhere, clearly. It comes from a fear of being caught out. Or it comes from a fear of getting in trouble. Because, you know, as kids, we always got in trouble, right? So we just deny it. Our first instinct is to deny it, right? The next thing we do is we lay blame. Wasn't me, it was because of that other person, and such didn't tell me, and this and that. So what that is, this is our victim mode. Okay, so we lay blame. The next thing we do is we have lots and lots of justifications why the situation didn't turn out as we wanted it, right? So we justify to ourselves, yeah, okay, well, I wasn't ready in time because you know, so just constant justifying, right? So these are the, you know, the reasons. So another word for this is reason. With all of this, what happens, we have whole bunch of feelings that happen with all of these, right? So there's lots of guilt, and there's lots of, you know, anger, and there's disappointment, and there's all sorts of stuff that's directed at other people. Whereas ultimately, if we want to be living in inner peace, then we have to be personally responsible. And what does that mean? That means that you're responsible for who you are, what you do, and how you behave, right? And when you feel guilt, it means you know there's a part of you that had a contribution in the situation, and you need to own up. You need to have the courage to own up. So responsibility has many layers. It has, you know, in any situation, there's an equal percentage. Okay, so in a marriage, I'm a relationships architect, right? So I work with couples, right, with intimate relationships. But in any relationship, right, there's a 50-50. So let's say, Mike, you and I are in a relationship. I'm 50% responsible for the success of this relationship. Whereas in many relationships, the percentage is different, right? So therefore there's an imbalance. Now, if you work in a corporate environment or your business or whatever, and you have 10 people, it's everybody has 10% responsibility to make the business successful. Not one person does more than the other, because everybody has a job description. So that's your 10%. Now, within that 10%, you're 100% responsible for your 10% or your 50% in the relationship, right? And what does this mean? It means you're responsible for what you say and what you don't say, and what you do and what you don't do. Because people sometimes say things, but they don't do it, right? So then people don't believe you, you know? So how many times in relationships, I mean, every single one of us, I think in this session has had multiple relationships. And we've been in relationships where we say, I'm going to go, I had enough, I'm going. And then 6 months later, you're still there. And then you say it again. Do you think the other person would take you seriously? So if you say something, follow up with the action. But the thing is, you don't want to leave, then you need to find another statement, one that is actually building you up. So you need to figure out what's going on for you. And then the biggest responsibility, like the biggest challenge within responsibility, is you are responsible for your emotions. I didn't reject you. What I did made you feel rejected. But I didn't say, I am rejecting you, I am abandoning you. Yeah? So the emotions that we create within ourselves have been there for a long, long, long time. So people get triggered and an old memory pops up. Okay? But I could like go into this, you know, and I know that we're coming to an end, and I also have some clients in 15 minutes, so I need to go have a coffee. But I hope that this is very much hand in hand with nobly selfish, being responsible. So I always, when a situation arises, I go, is there something that I could have done different, or is there more that I could have done to create the right situation, what we wanted to have? And if my answer, and I feel it always in here, in my chest, in my heart, I just feel, yes. And all of a sudden I get the idea of what it should have been. And then I own up. I just go up and I say, you know what? I'm so sorry about that. You know, I possibly could have done this. So what can I do to make this better? So I take personal responsibility. If the other person doesn't, and they don't, then I am responsible for what I'm doing next with that particular relationship. And I normally leave, because I don't need that toxicity in my life, because it's one-sided, there's no mutual exchange, and there's no reciprocity. So then I just have to let it go. Because people come into your life for a short period, for longer, or forever. So I learned to accept that. That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It does. But then I let it go. And if they want to be in my life, they turn up. I'll open the door. Coffee, tea, wine, bubbles. So whatever it is.
You're amazing, Annie. Everybody that's watching, please give Annie a big hand. We'll definitely have to do this again with you, Annie. You're incredible. I had so much fun with you on this. And for the homework, you know, I'm thinking that, you know, the experience of changing and growing and having other people around you that might not understand it, like we were just talking about being selfish. Maybe what the homework we're going to have today is going to be to do a video or write a post in Live Masters talking about an experience that you've had where you're changing, you're making the different changes, and you felt that resistance from people that are close to you. And a lot of times it can be the people that are closest to you that you spend the most time with, because even if you're not in that harmonious situation and you start growing and the other person's not growing, it could be very interesting, right? To say the least.
I have some homework
Okay,
for
cool.
you guys.
All right.
It's actually more like a tip.
All right, cool. Let's hear it.
So this is in line with what Leonie was saying the other day. It's an affirmation. That's just a bit different. It's I like myself. If you do this every morning 20 times, every evening 20 times, and in the mirror, looking at yourself straight in the eyes, you're actually creating presence with yourself. And also, you're starting to believe. You have to say the truth in advance. Like some people say, yeah, but I don't like myself. So I said, well, then you're going to turn around and keep saying, I don't like myself. I don't like myself. How does that make you feel? And they go, oh, yeah, not too good. So even if you don't like yourself, just start saying it. And a good way to start to get to that real belief, I like myself, is to do it in different moods. Do it angry, do it sad, do it happy, do it condescending, like, I like myself. I like myself. And all of a sudden, you get to the emotion that is that I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. So you do that, especially if you have a meeting, you want to ask somebody out on a date, you want to, whatever it is, something that you're going, oh my God, I'm nervous, and going, no, hang on. I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. And that's taking responsibility for you, for your emotions. Nobody else is responsible on how you feel. And then you are going out there and you're going to be selfish with you, with what you want. You're going to get what you want because you like yourself and you deserve to have the thing that you're going after. So with that, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Mike, for having me. I love coming on these. Sometimes I just feel, oh, I talk too much. I should have let Mike say something.
No. Everyone's here to see you right now, just to let you know. That's what this is about, because I love having speakers like you come on and do this. This is incredible. It gives people that are in Live Masters or watching this publicly on YouTube or my page an opportunity to get to know you the way that I've gotten to know you over the last few years. So you don't talk too much. I get self-conscious about that sometimes too. That's why a major reason why my videos are only like 10 minutes long or less than 10 minutes, because I do it every day. So I'm like, I'm just about 10 minutes and I'm good. So anyway.
I love your videos. You have over the years have made me think so many times with the questions that you put out there, and I go, oh, how does that affect me? Or what is my thought about that? It's just, I actually don't have the time to do another video because I'm doing so many other things. So when I have time, I kind of put a video in there. But
no, this is perfect. I would rather have you come and do this here once in a while than have you just go do 2-3 whatever minute videos in the group. So you're always welcome here to do this.
Anytime.
And, the future's going to be bright.
I have a whole toolbox of things, especially when it comes to relationships. And this is like the relationship month, right?
Yeah, it is. So if you guys want to see Annie back, put a big ANNIE in the comments. And again, thank you, Annie, for coming, and everybody that's here watching. Thank you for coming on and watching this and liking and sharing and doing all that fun stuff. I'm definitely both of us will go back through the comments at some point and show you some love. And stay tuned for tomorrow. We're going to have our last day, day 5. We're going to have Dawn Nardi, and it's on self-resilience. She's going to tell an incredible story of how she's overcome some things in her life, and you guys are in for another treat. So again, Annie, thank you so much. I'll let you go have your tea. And it looks like Eugenie wants to meet you in town someday real soon. So I'll let you go have your tea and then have fun with your clients. I know they're going to be blessed by your presence.
Thank you so much. Much love. You and I need to catch up for a wine.
Yeah, we need to continue talking about what we were talking about before we went live. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks again.
Bye. See you, everyone.